Since the conclusion of the popular TLC reality show 19 Kids and Counting in 2015, Jim, Bob and Michelle Duggar, the show's primary characters, have continued to be well known in a variety of ways. 10 years later, there have been significant changes in their social media presence, family dynamics, public perception, and religious commitment. In this straightforward script, the Duggar parents' current situation is described, along with what has changed, and what has stayed the same over the last 10 years. Jim, Bob and Michelle Duggar continue to lead a fast-growing family 10 years after the end of 19 Kids and Counting. The Duggar family now has a large number of grandchildren thanks to their 19 offspring, several of whom have now gotten married and started families. As some of the oldest Duggar children continue to expand their families, the precise number of grandchildren has crossed 30. Michelle and Jim Bob frequently boast about their expanding family tree. On occasion they provide updates, mostly through postings from their kids or accounts connected to their family. Many of the couple's younger children grew up in Tontitown, Arkansas, where they currently reside in the same spacious home. Holidays, milestone events, and family get-togethers continue to take place mostly at the family home. Some of their adult children still have close relationships with them, but others have become more aloof, especially those who have openly voiced opinions that deviate from the family's traditional beliefs. During their time on television, Jim, Bob and Michelle Duggar emphasized conservative Christian principles, which they still uphold today. Although the Institute in Basic Life Principles difficulties and public criticism have changed how openly they mention it, the pair has continued to be involved in their religious communities and keep ties to it. Jim Bob is still involved in a number of community-based homeschooling and faith-based education programs. Michelle continues to mentor other mothers in religious parenting circles and contributes to faith-based activities. Jim, Bob and Michelle have not publicly denied any part of their religious beliefs, even in the face of growing criticism and unfavorable media coverage of the groups they fund. For the most part, they have avoided public disputes and maintained a posture of spiritual focus rather than explicitly answering criticism. Jim, Bob and Michelle Duggar have drastically reduced their public appearances and interviews since 19 Kids and Counting, and then Counting On were canceled. Following the revelation of legal troubles involving their oldest son Josh, including his arrest and conviction on charges of child pornography, the family's reputation suffered greatly. The family's performances were canceled as a result of the incident, which also had a big impact on the Duggars' reputation. Jim, Bob and Michelle have stayed away from significant media appearances and public interviews ever then. They hardly ever make personal statements and have never been on TV. Their children's social media accounts or sporadic appearances at community events typically provide the only information about their life. The pair has not publicly indicated that they are looking to re-establish their media presence, nor have they formally returned to reality TV in any way. Their local religious community and family seem to be their top priorities. Even though they are no longer the prominent leaders of a family brand that is broadcast on television, Jim, Bob and Michelle continue to have an impact on decisions and public perceptions surrounding Duggar. In social media posts in particular, family members often mention their parents as mentors in their spiritual and familial beliefs. Jim Bob is thought to still be actively involved in overseeing the financial operations of the family's assets and business holdings, which include commercial and real estate endeavors in Northwest Arkansas. Even if he isn't as obviously active in day-to-day activities as he was during the show's peak, his function as a family patriarch and important decision-maker remains significant. As she continues to provide her children and grandkids with assistance, childcare, and direction, Michelle's position seems to be more relational. She regularly attends religious ceremonies like dedications and baptisms, as well as big family gatherings and baby showers. The dynamics of the Duggar family have changed dramatically in the last 10 years. Some children have chosen alternative paths, while others still live by their parents' principles. Jinger, Vuolo, Dillard, and Joanna Forsyth are among the Duggar daughters who have openly discussed breaking some of the rigid standards of their upbringing. In her book and interviews, Jinger Vuolo in particular has been candid about departing from the IBLP's principles. Dillard has also discussed strained relationships and boundaries, including her extended separation from Jim, Bob and Michelle. Despite these changes, Michelle and Jim Bob still show their affection for each of their kids, even though they rarely discuss the family's arguments in public. Joseph Duggar, John David Duggar, and Jana Duggar are among the other children who have remained steadfast in upholding the family's core principles and seem to have a solid bond with their parents. Through his several real estate and business ventures, Jim Bob Duggar has maintained financial security over the last 10 years. He had made real estate investments and used them to support his huge family even before 19 kids and counting aired. Jim Bob is still in charge of a number of properties in Northwest Arkansas. These consist of rental apartments, business buildings, and residential residences. Although his commercial activities are still mostly hidden from the public, local documents attest to his ongoing ownership and transactions involving several properties. Although she is still a co-owner of some of the properties, Michelle's financial position has always been seen as secondary in the public eye, with a greater emphasis on home management and child-rearing. Together, they continue to have a significant social and economic impact on their neighborhood. Though on a lesser and more intimate scale than during their television years, Jim Bob and Michelle have continued to have a considerable role in their local community. They continue to participate in homeschool networks, church activities, and community outreach initiatives. Jim Bob, a former member of the House of Representatives in Arkansas and a former U.S. Senate, has not actively sought for more political positions. His unsuccessful 2021 campaign for the Arkansas State Senate is his most recent documented political involvement. He hasn't openly returned to politics since that defeat. Michelle frequently takes part in faith-based community events and local women's clubs, particularly those that involve families and kids. In Tontatown and the neighboring areas, the Duggars maintain a significant social presence despite their diminished media presence. Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar don't post much of themselves on social media. In contrast to many of their kids, no longer is the official Duggar family website updated on a regular basis. Their children's reports or indirect mentions provide the majority of the fresh information regarding their actions. Children like Joanna Forsyth and Jessa Seewald occasionally feature their parents in family vlogs or postings. These posts typically feature the pair at milestone events like birthdays and christenings, as well as family get-togethers and holidays. However, Jim Bob and Michelle don't regularly interact with the public online, and hardly ever post alone. It's possible that this absence is an intentional attempt to protect privacy and stay out of current disputes. Given that younger Duggars have embraced social media for communication and revenue, while the older Duggar pair seems satisfied with staying offline, it could also be a reflection of a generational divide. Some of their married children still receive emotional and financial assistance from Jim Bob and Michelle. Housing help, property transfers, and logistical support during pregnancy and medical emergencies are all included in this support. In order to help Duggar children build independent residences, properties have occasionally been given to them as gifts or sold to them for less than market value. The family's custom of sharing resources and providing internal support is reflected in these transactions, which are recorded in public documents. When several family members have infants or young children at the same time, Michelle usually assists with childcare. She continues to play a crucial role in the internal organization of the family during postpartum recuperation and family difficulties. Jim Bob and Michelle have made a discernible move toward privacy since 2015, especially in the wake of the Josh Duggar incident. They no longer publicly address public disputes or media questions. This tactic might be meant to safeguard their surviving children and preserve their standing with their fans. Although the family still enjoys a devoted following in some conservative and religious areas, the general public's opinion of them has shifted. The Duggars' reputation has been further damaged by documentaries, exposés, and media inquiries, especially in relation to their management of delicate family issues and adherence to patriarchal religious doctrine. The main way that Jim Bob and Michelle respond now is by remaining silent rather than offering arguments or explanations for their opinions. However, the world now sees a more varied view of life in the Duggar household because to their kids' growing openness. As they look to the future, Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar seem happy to stay out of the spotlight while their kids lead the way. Unless provoked by a huge family event or other event, the pair is unlikely to make a significant comeback to social media or television. 5 aspects of the family dynamics of Jinger Duggar. 1. Jinger Nicole Duggar was born on December 21, 1993, as the sixth child of Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar. This was a typical Duggar upbringing and early family structure. Jinger was brought up in a strict, conservative Christian home, according to the doctrines of the Institute in Basic Life Principles, a religious group headed by Bill Gothard. The family adhered to a rigid version of Christianity that placed a strong emphasis on obedience, modesty, and patriarchal authority. Jinger grew up in the Duggar household with routines and expectations that emphasized faith, modesty, and deference to parental authority. Clothing, relationships, music, and television were all strictly monitored. Along with her siblings, she received homeschooling and training in household tasks like babysitting, cleaning, and cooking. Every youngster had a buddy team, in which older siblings looked after younger ones. Jinger and her siblings lived in a close-knit environment as members of this huge family, and a fundamental principle was the importance placed on maintaining family unity. The kids often collaborated on outreach trips, homeschool lessons, and household duties. Christian teachings, church gatherings, and family vacations were frequently the focal points of their activities. She lived with clothing regulations that required girls to wear modest skirts, wooing over dating and public expressions of faith. Her early ideals were established by this conservative upbringing, which also affected her perception of the hierarchy, structure, and goals of her family. Jinger's role as a daughter was based on obedience and spiritual submission, and she, like her siblings, was expected to live under her parents' rule until marriage. 2. Changing personal beliefs and spiritual development. Jinger has stated that her spiritual path has changed over the years, especially since she married Jeremy Vuolo in 2016. She has separated herself from Bill Gothard's and the IBLP's doctrines, although she still considers herself a Christian. Jinger has described her spiritual reevaluation journey in her publications, interviews, and public appearances. Moving away from the legalism and fear-based beliefs that influenced her upbringing was one of the most significant parts of her transformation. She has talked about how some things, including as wearing jeans, listening to secular music, and even considering alternative theological perspectives, used to cause her great guilt but now don't. She describes in her book Becoming Free Indeed how she came to accept a faith founded on grace rather than fear, and how she distinguished between biblical truth and regulations created by humans. Jinger's quest to reinterpret her personal convictions is indicative of a more significant shift in her relationship with her family. Although she does not completely reject her family or upbringing, she has acknowledged that some of the lessons she was taught at home caused her to struggle emotionally and psychologically. One significant turning point in her relationship with her history and present is her departure from the IBLP dogma. Her changing views have also affected the way she brings up her own kids. She and Jeremy now live by their own version of Christianity, which promotes free thought, candid communication, and a looser set of norms for living. Although she still respects her parents despite their divergent opinions, these changes highlight the differences between Jinger's family dynamics now and those she knew as a child. 3. Marriage to Jeremy Vuolo and establishment of a new family unit. Jinger's life underwent a dramatic change once she married Jeremy Vuolo. Jeremy, a pastor now and a former professional soccer player, offered another viewpoint on family and religion. The couple has created their own home together, founded on respect for one another and common values. Her family supported the courtship that started their love, but as their marriage developed, they started to set limits that were different from the Duggar custom. After relocating to Laredo, Texas, Jinger and Jeremy eventually settled in Los Angeles, California, where Jeremy enrolled in the Master's Seminary. Her childhood home was physically and figuratively separated by these transfers. In their new existence, Jinger started wearing pants, going to a different church, and talking openly about subjects that were previously taboo in her family. She and Jeremy also decided not to post pictures of their kids on social media, keeping many parts of their family life secret, particularly those involving their daughters. The Duggar family's candid sharing of their kids' life on TV and the internet contrasts with this strategy. Jinger was able to live a lifestyle more in line with her changed values and make decisions on her own thanks to this new family. Even though she still values her upbringing, her present life with Jeremy and their kids deviates from the expectations of the Duggar family. Her marriage has given her the opportunity to reconsider inherited ideals and redefine what family means to her. 4. Relationship with parents and siblings. In light of personal changes, Jinger's relationship with her parents and siblings has certainly been impacted by her metamorphosis. She still communicates with several of her relatives, but the disparities in their religious beliefs have caused her to feel different levels of intimacy and distance from each of them. Even though Jinger publicly disagrees with some of the beliefs her parents, Jim, Bob and Michelle, promoted, she has shown her love and respect for them. She has made it apparent that rather than attacking her parents personally, her criticisms are focused on the teachings that she believed to be detrimental. This distinction implies that she tries to keep a polite relationship even though she might not share all of their values anymore. The reactions to her siblings have been mixed. While some of her siblings have openly distanced themselves from the IBLP and talked about their personal struggles, others, like Jed Duggar Dillard, have remained very much in line with their parents' beliefs. Jinger occasionally shows up at family get-togethers or shares encouraging postings online, suggesting that she maintains cordial connections with a few of her siblings. However, the frequency and depth of those partnerships are inherently impacted by the ideological and lifestyle contrasts. The daily relationships between Jinger and the other members of the Duggar family have changed due to physical distance, disparities in parenting styles, and personal limits. However, there is no outward sign of animosity, and she continues to speak about her family in a generally kind and sympathetic manner. Jinger's relationship with her family today appears to be characterized by striking a balance between upholding her personal beliefs and respecting their shared past. Even when opinions differ, her strategy demonstrates a desire for harmony and respect for one another. 5. Parenting philosophy and the prospects of family legacy. Jinger's parenting style contrasts significantly with her upbringing. Being a mother of 2 children, she has made the decision to safeguard their privacy, restrict their exposure to the media, and give them room to grow away from prying eyes. This choice is a conscious departure from her own reality TV upbringing. Her approach to parenting places a strong emphasis on cultivating individual identity, communicating openly, and using grace. She has declared that she does not plan to impose strict rules about attire, entertainment, or romance, even if she still raises her kids with Christian principles. She seems to be trying to teach her kids biblical values and love instead of control or fear. By living in diverse places like Los Angeles and interacting with different populations, Jinger and Jeremy have also tried to give their kids a wider perspective on the world. Their dedication to creating a wholesome and considerate family environment is demonstrated by their emphasis on education, spiritual inquiry, and emotional well-being. In many respects, Jinger's present family exemplifies a contemporary view of Christian family life, one that respects the biblical roots while permitting flexibility and development. Her choices show a deliberate attempt to end cycles of lessons based on fear and substitute them with values derived from individual conviction and autonomy. In the future, Jinger's family dynamics will probably keep changing as her kids become older, and she and Jeremy modify their strategy. Her public persona conveys a desire to leave a legacy of critical thinking, informed faith, and respectful independence. By doing this, she adds to a new chapter in the Duggar family's history, one that is characterized by change, reflection, and personal development. The dynamics of Jinger Duggar Vuolo's family show a shift from traditional conservatism to individual reformation. Jinger has demonstrated a dedication to upholding civil relationships while simultaneously paving a path that is consistent with her values via her childhood in the Duggar household, her marriage to Jeremy Vuolo, and her changing parenting and spiritual decisions. Her traditional background, changing ideas, new family unit, connections with parents and siblings, and parenting philosophy are the 5 elements that shed light on how her decisions have molded and been reshaped her family dynamics. Her experience serves as an example of the difficulties in managing both personal growth and familial devotion in a well-known family setting. Jinger provides a viewpoint that,